Yesterday, senior NBC reporter Ben Collins wrote, "I'm at the pro-Trump protest put on by the New York Young Republicans Club. Not a joke. There are more reporters here than Trump supporters. This was supposed to be the big one." Gavin Wax is here, president of the New York Young Republicans Club. John Levine, a New York Post reporter. Gentlemen, it is good to see both of you. All right, Gavin, they've got 36,000 New York police officers in uniform today in case there's violence. Is there something for them to worry about?
Certainly not from the side that I represent, from the right side of the political spectrum. As demonstrated yesterday down here outside the courts, we had over 100 supporters of the president who demonstrated peacefully in a calm, civil manner, and they all left and they went to get dinner and nothing happened, as you said in your opening. So I don't expect anything from my side. I can't speak to the other side, which has a longer history of political violence in this city, but that's another story entirely.
John, I'm just thinking just in terms of numbers, right? There's not enough conservatives in the tri-state area for there to be a riot, is there?
No, I mean, in New York City, Democrats outnumber Republicans 9-1. I think Trump versus anti-Trump is probably an even larger number. And as Gavin alluded to, January 6th was really an aberration. Right-wing protests tend to be pretty buttoned up. I do recall in the summer of 2020, BLM protests, which, while some called them mostly peaceful, you had businesses boarded up, and in the run-up to the 2020 election, there was a lot of precautionary measures taken by a lot of places just in case the wrong candidate won. You know, it's funny, you have Gavin Wax here. I spoke to Gavin on Saturday after Trump put out his statement saying protest, 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 and I called him up. I said, "Are you going to do anything?" He said, "Yes, we're going to have an event." And it's tough because no one wants to see another repeat of January 6th. So I know for Gavin's event, it was the location was not made public. You had to RSVP. And there was a lot of genuine fear about federal infiltration because it's widely assumed by a lot of Trump people that there were federal agents in the mob on January 6th. So there was a lot of headwinds against anyone showing up.
I want to be clear. I agree with you. There is a lot of assumption among Trump supporters about infiltration on January 6th. I was there. I didn't see that. I don't have any independent reporting on it. But you make a good point in terms of the fear. But Gavin, to you, frankly, not many people showed up. I mean, really, you were outnumbered by reporters at the courthouse. You were outnumbered wildly by reporters at Mar-a-Lago and at Trump Tower. Is there just not that much anger? Is this a fire by President Trump of anger that's trying to be lit that just doesn't have any firewood above it?
Well, Leland, I would push back. I could only speak to the protest that I organized. We kept it small. We kept it a vetted list. It was RSVP only. We don't open the address. We went line by line, vetting people to make sure we could have a peaceful and civil event, which we did. So our strategy worked. And now the discussion is not about a violent protest. The strategy is, oh, well, was there too much press here? Or was there not enough press? Or was there not enough protesters? We had over 100 people here in Manhattan on 24-hour notice. I think we did a good job. We've done many of these protests in the past with much larger audiences. We live in a different time. We took precautions that were necessary, and we were very happy with the results.
Fair enough. Garrett, I want to ask you, though. We
just had a supporter here.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll try to see if we can at least move them away so we can keep talking to you. Gavin, just want to talk to you about this for 1 second. You hear these leaks about 36,000 officers ready for potential violence. Jay Johnson, former DHS secretary, was on a number of cable channels today talking about the threat of mass right-wing violence. Is this become a self-fulfilling prophecy? As you talk to your sources inside NYPD, is there actually any threats or intelligence driving this, or is it more the political conversation?
It's a great question, Leland. I spoke to NYPD intelligence the day of. They had no reports of any sort of counter-protest or violence. They said at most you'd get a few hecklers, but they were fully on top of it. They're a professional organization, best in the country, best in the world. But I do think that there is a lot of, paranoia that is being fueled by the elected officials in this city. I know from some sources in the city council that there was an all-hands-on-deck call led by the mayor, the police commissioner. It had every elected official in the city, state assembly, state States Senate, Congress, DA, BPs, and the City Council, and they were planning for some massive type of big one, as they called it, and as some of the reporters called it, the big one, and it didn't happen. And I think they were a little upset,
look,
and then they started to.
They just could have called you, John. I got 15 or 20 seconds, couple sentences.
I'll just say another thing that's a part of this, and why I think the turnout was delayed, was there's a lot of bad feeling about how January 6th went down among Trump supporters, because the last time he called his people to go wild out on his behalf, thousands of people showed up in D.C., and now hundreds of them are serving lengthy prison terms. And there's a feeling that Trump really didn't stand up for them while he was president or pay any legal bills. And there was sort of a fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me as well, among a lot of his people.
That's a fascinating point, and really an insightful one. John, thank you. Gavin, thank you as well. We'll be chatting over the next few days, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.